Watch Trump try to explain to his rally why he won't debate Kamala. He will. If the polls continue to slide, he will absolutely do it. He'll get desperate for sure. You clicked it in the tweet. Oh, gotcha.
That's not what you want. That's not what you want. Kamala and her group have seen what's happening to their campaign, and it's not going well for them. And they would like, just announced a little while ago as I was coming off the plane, they would like to do another debate. Although, good entertainment value. A lot of people say, oh, do it, it's great entertainment. I've already...
It would be a bit of a gamble, but you know what? Kamala, the Harris campaign should just announce that they're not going to, that they accept what Trump is saying and that they have decided to rescind and they're not going to do a debate, and then see if Trump gets hungry for another one in a couple weeks.
Already done two. One with crooked Joe Biden at CNN and the other one with Kamala on ABC. CNN was very fair, I thought. Joe was driven out of the race. It was a coup, by the way, but he was driven out of the race. And they've been widely criticized by the radical left lunatics for all.
This guy's rallies are so long. Assuming that, I think I read a DGG post, assuming that post wasn't a lie, this guy's rallies are like fucking hour and a half. What the f?
All of the fairness, they were very fair. In other words, they won't be fair again because they took a lot of abuse from the radical left. ABC was 3-on-1. But I was given credit for having done a very, very good job. I appreciate that. We did a great job. It was 3-on-1. The problem with another debate...
How long do rallies go for? Well, I think normally people speak for like 20 or 30 minutes. Trump will speak for like an hour and a half.
...is that it's just too late. Voting has already started. She's had her chance to do it with Fox. You know, Fox invited us on, and I waited and waited, and... They turned it down. They turned it down. But now she wants to do a debate right before the election with CNN because she's losing badly. You know, it's like a fighter. She sees the pulse. She sees what's happening. She's losing badly. But it's like a fighter who goes into the ring and gets knocked out. The first thing he says is, I want a rematch. I want a rematch.
And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris? No, I don't. I also don't think that this is actually an issue of national import. Is Laura Loomer running for president? No. Kamala Harris is running for president. And whether you're eating curry at your dinner table or fried chicken, things have gotten more expensive thanks to her policies. Let's talk about the person running for president of the United States, not a social media personality who supports Donald Trump. Senator. And look, so yeah, do I agree with what Laura Loomer said about Kamala Harris?
Whether you're eating curry or, you know, watermelon and fried chicken, or, KFC, collard greens, every day is a struggle, not to say it.
I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, oh, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? Excuse me, it's insane.
What? You don't have to have our laws or our constitution.
That we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both.
What?
But we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Like, look, I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, but European countries should
Why would you, why would you even say this?
Theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech. The leader...
Okay.
I think the thing that we have to take away from the last 10 years is that we really need to be really ruthless when it comes to the exercise of power. I was talking about this with someone earlier today, where you remember there was some threat that congressional or Senate Republicans made. If you get rid of the filibuster, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. You actually look at it, it's like, this is not that interesting.
We're going to actually deliver on our promises that we've made for decades.
Sounds this is the threat. If you get rid of the filibuster, we're going to do this stuff. Like, they're talking about expanding the Supreme Court. They're talking about adding 2 senators from heavily Democratic places.
You get rid of the filibuster, we'll actually deliver on defunding.
They're talking about adding senators from heavily. Is he talking about D.C. and Puerto Rico? It should always clue you in when Republicans are so scared of expanding the right to vote to other people. That should always clue you in for what's going on in their minds.
No, we don't want to do.
So I think, look, I am a cynic about this and maybe even a little bit of a pessimist, but I think the challenge confronting American conservatives is that we have lost every major powerful institution in the country, except for maybe churches and religious institutions, which of course are weaker now than they've ever been. We've lost big business. We've lost finance.
You haven't. You've lost them, but that's because you turned your back on all of these things. Like, even the idea, I might have even said this kind of, but it's not really true. Like, conservatives are trying to conserve the past and liberals are trying to move to the future. Like, that's not really true. That's a pretty simplistic outlook on how things are supposed to work. But if you're literally trying to do that, if you're literally just trying to hold on to the past and you don't ever want to move into the future, yeah, of course, you're going to lose everything. You guys have just become like a hate-filled group of disgusting, narcissistic, like evil, negative people. So yeah, of course you've lost everything, all the institutions and all the big business, because you hate big business, you hate corporations, you hate trade, you hate globalism, you hate other countries, you hate the police. Like, you're conservatives and you hate like all the, yeah, it's crazy.
In the time of the delay, Russia's military land forces have grown back to where they were before the invasion. The army's 15% larger, and they've reinforced the 20% of Ukrainian territory that they hold. These are all the words of the Supreme Allied Commander himself. Do you feel your party is responsible for those setbacks?
Many of them, yeah. We took too long. This issue was like a...
Oh shit, wait, is McConnell, is he out soon? If he's going to retire soon, then he might be past the give a f out. He's like, listen.
Too long. This issue was like a family reunion, if you will, with a lot of different points of view being expressed around the table. All the Democrats were for Ukraine. There's no question that the debate was in our family, on our side.
Damn, true.
And there was a lot of skepticism for a long time. But
in the time of the
new report, transcripts show President Trump's directives to Pentagon leadership to keep January 6th safe were deliberately ignored. Okay, is this a real report or does this come from House Republicans? Let's find out. Committee on House Administration Subcommittee. Oof. Okay. Well. All right. Well, let's see what they cite for evidence, at least. Okay. Well, we're citing Mark Milley's testimony, which had to do with keeping Trump's protesters safe. Wait, that's it? Oh, okay. So it is bull. Okay. I. By the way, where are they? Hold on. Where do we have this? Where's our media blacklist? I'm not joking. Anything that comes from the House Republicans, you should ignore unless you've otherwise verified. They will deliberately lie and make up everything. Anything released from House Republicans is Fox News is a far more reputable source than anything that comes from the House Republicans. It's on the same level. I'm trying to think of like OAN, I guess, or Newsmax or whatever. These are the quotes that they're using to justify their position. One has to do with Mark Milley. It's the quote that I talked about. The president just says, hey, look at this. There's going to be a large amount of protesters here on the 6th. Make sure you have sufficient National Guard or soldiers to make sure it's a safe event. POTUS said, hey, I don't care if you use Guard or soldiers, active duty soldiers, do whatever you have to do. Just make sure it's safe. Did this actually... Oh, they are even taking quotes from the J6 Select Committee. So wait, so we do believe the J6 Select Committee when they say things that we think we can selectively quote? Or do we not agree with the Select Committee? Or when does this matter again? What separates the House and Senate Republicans? I don't know. I've never seen... I feel like what have I read? I've read stuff, I think, from Senate Republicans. It's not usually It's like they might be a little bit ideologically biased, but I don't think I read stuff that's just insane. House Republicans are just on another world of insanity. Maybe Senate Republicans are too. I don't know. I haven't seen. Maybe Senate Democrats are. I just haven't seen anything where I'm like, oh, this is just like blatant misinformation. Like they're citing Christopher Miller here. Here's the quotes from him. The president commented that they were going to need 10,000 troops the following day. I interpreted it as a bit of presidential banter or President Trump banter that you're all familiar with, and in no way, shape, or form did I interpret that as an order or direction. On January 6, 2021, everyone was like, did you listen to the president's speech? I'm like, the guy speaks for 90 minutes. It's like Castro or something. No, I've got work to do. The president's speech here at the Ellipse, what does this have to do with anything? I was cognizant of the fears that the president would invoke the Insurrection Act to politicize the military in an anti-democratic manner. And just before the Electoral College certification, 10 former secretaries of defense signed an op-ed piece published in the Washington Post warning of the dangers of politicizing and using inappropriately the military. No such thing was going to occur on my watch. There was absolutely no way I was putting U.S. military forces at the Capitol, period. The operational plan was this: let's take the D.C. National Guard and keep them away from the Capitol. None of this, one quote here has to do with Donald Trump talking about troops. And Miller himself said, committee staff, to be crystal clear, there was no direct order from President Trump to put 10,000 troops to be on the ready for January 6th, correct? No, yeah, that's correct. There was no order from the president. The idea that he had like ordered this or something, I'm pretty sure, let me see if I can find the rest of the quote here. President Trump wanted to personally accompany his supporters on the march from the Ellipse to the U.S. Capitol during a January 4th meeting with staffers and event organizer Katrina Pearson. President Trump emphasized his desire to march with his supporters. Well, I should walk with the people, Pearson recalled President Trump saying. Though Pearson said that she did not take him seriously, she knew that he would absolutely want to be with the people. Pearson pointed out that President Trump did the drive-by the first time, the flyover the second time, a reference to the November and December 2020 protests in Washington, D.C. During these previous events, President Trump made cameo appearances to fire up his supporters. Now, as January 6th approached, the president again wanted to be there on the ground as his supporters marched on the U.S. Capitol. The president's advisors tried to talk him out of it. White House senior advisor Max Miller shot it down immediately because of concerns about the president's safety. Pearson agreed, but President Trump was persistent, and he floated the idea of having 10,000 National Guardsmen deployed to protect him and his supporters from any supposed threats by left-wing counter-protesters. Miller, again, rejected the president's idea, saying that the National Guard was not necessary for the event. Miller testified that there was no further conversation on the matter. After the meeting, Miller texted Pearson, just glad we killed the National Guard, and a procession. That is, President Trump briefly considered having the National Guard oversee his procession to the U.S. Capitol. The president did not order the National Guard to protect the U.S. Capitol or to secure the joint session proceedings. Although his advisors tried to talk the president out of personally going, they understood that his supporters would be marching. This idea that the president was ever saying we need National Guard there to protect the Capitol, or that there was a security concern about what was going on at the Capitol, is bullshit. This has never been the case. That's why nobody's ever produced a quote saying as much. Nobody's ever testified to as much. Donald Trump himself can't cite anything exactly. The only thing Donald Trump has ever cited or has ever floated, it wasn't even an official command or an actual direct request, was the idea maybe I should have some National Guard there to protect me and my supporters. That's the only thing he's ever said from fucking Antifa. So the idea that President Trump was trying to do all these things to keep the Capitol safe is not true. It's absolute. And Donald Trump didn't make a single call to any military command on January 6th. So there were no orders ignored from Trump on January 6th. He didn't even say anything.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye.
Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.